Good morning. Today on Historical Pathway we are bringing a very special guest all the way from France. She is very well known for her extravagant life of elegance and power, as well as using the country's money for her gambling and dresses. If you have not really guessed who this is Marie Antoinette. Thank you for having me on the show. That's alright. While you're on the show today, do you mind if you could just answer a few questions about your past and what occurred? Certainly. The pleasure's all mine. So, Marie, what was your childhood like? My full name is Maria Antonia Josepha Joanne, and I was born in Vienna on the 2nd of November 1755. I was the youngest out of 15 children, and I loved embroidery, dancing, and playing the harp. I could not read or write very well, and I didn't know much history, and I wasn't very fluent in my French either. To improve my French so I could marry Louis XVI, in 1768, the Abbé Vermont arrived in Austria to become my tutor. After a year later, I was able to speak fluently in French, and on the 21st of April, 1770, when I was just 14 years old, I left my beloved family and friends in Austria in a carriage that would take me to France so I could marry Louis XVI, and I was escorted by 57 carriages, 117 footmen, and 376 horses. How many siblings did you have? I had 5 brothers and 9 sisters, including myself. All up, there are 15 of us. What was your marriage like with King Louis XVI? It was very extravagant. It took place on the 16th of May, 1770, in the Palace of Versailles. I do believe that we both had mixed feelings on the marriage, but it is understandable as our marriage was only to help France and Austria become alliances in the war. My dress was covered in pearls and diamonds from top to bottom. What were your hobbies as a child and now as a young adult? As a child, I loved to sing, dance, and play musical instruments such as the harp, the clavichord, and the spinet. I learned to speak Italian, German, and French, and as I got older, I loved socializing and throwing parties. I was a heavy gambler, and I loved trying on and buying dresses and accessories. Could you please tell me about your children? I had 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. The eldest was my beautiful daughter named Marie-Therese of France, and she was born on the 19th of December 1778. The second eldest was my handsome son named Louis Joseph, the Dauphin of France. He was born on the 22nd of October 1781. And he sadly died at the age of 7 on the 4th of June 1789. The third eldest was my charming son, named Louis XVII of France. He was born on the 17th of March 1785, and he died at the age of 10 on the 8th of June 1795. The youngest child I had was an adorable baby girl named Princess Sophia Helene Beatrice of France. She died at just 11 months and 10 days, because her fragile health was undermined by tuberculosis. Could you tell me about the diamond necklace affair? The diamond necklace affair occurred in 1785. The necklace contained 747 stones and weighed 2,800 carats. I do admit that I did try to buy the necklace even though we were going through a tough time. To hide the payments by giving small amounts of money to Boma and Basach, who were the jewelers who had it for sale, I thought I could get away with it. Nevertheless, Janine de Villers found out and planned to steal the necklace and have someone take it to London to sell it in individual pieces. This affair has been one of the issues which caused my reputation to be ruined with the people of France. What was the flight to Versailles? The flight of Versailles occurred in 1791, which was around the time of the French Revolution. Many nobles had fled from France, and I had feared for my own royal safety and authority. After a while, I was able to convince my husband that we needed to flee to the Austrian border. I came up with a plan to get us across the border of France and Austria, where we would be met by soldiers and would be protected. So we were disguised as common travellers in a coach. There were extra horses with us because the horses pulling the carriage needed changing. This attracted a bit of attention. A patriot named Jacques de Jort recognized Louis and I. He alerted the authorities of the town of Rennes, and once we arrived in the town, we were caught and forced back to Paris. Why do you believe the French Revolution started? I believe it started because of the people's frustration with King Louis's inability to deal with the few food changes, religious intolerances, the country's terrible financial situations, and the decline in living conditions. The people of my country were resentful. They had decided to overthrow the monarchy and build the new government that would have representatives of the ordinary people who would then come to rule France. The destruction of the Bastille was the first significant action of the French Revolution. What were your last words? My last words were said to Samson, who was my executor. I had accidentally stepped on his foot while walking up to the guillotine, and I said, "Pardon me, sir, I did not mean to do it." What was it like before you were beheaded by the guillotine? Well, at the time I was 37 years old, and while I was waiting in the cell, my executor came and shaved off my beloved locks so that he could make a clean cut with his guillotine. I do remember that it was on the 16th of October 1793, and I was accused of high treason and abuse to my son, Louis Charles. To make things worse, I had a 2-day trial in an all-male jury while they discussed accusations against me and then declared me guilty. I mean, is that sexist or not? Thank you so much for appearing on the Historical Pathway, Marie. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I hope you have a safe journey all the way back to France, as well as looking at all Australia's natural beauty. Please tune in next week when we're interviewing the famous Alexander the Great.